Alright, guys, gals, and everything in between. No pressure today because I have someone in the audience today. It's my lovely girlfriend. She's actually asleep on the couch, so no pressure. Love you. Okay, everyone, so sorry I didn't get the discussion video to you last week. It ended up just being one of the worst timing moments ever because I released my giant short film, Holmes University 3, and if any of you happen to go watch it, thank you. If not, I put a link. I hope you guys all watch it because you like my stuff here, you know, all shameless plug. Let's get on to some Strain. Okay, so the beginning of this episode, I loved. Guillermo del Toro directed it, fun fact. And it's the black and white luchador wrestling scene where we get to introduce our character, Angel. Angel is this sort of formerly washed up luchador wrestler. He's awesome. I think I say that about every character in this show, except for New Zack. New Zack sucks. As the episode progresses, we see that Angel's working in this sort of rundown, sort of restaurant type scenario, and there's this really nice girl there, and Gus happens to sort of maybe recognize who he is, but at the same time it's hard to say. And with our flashbacks, Satrakian is still hunting for the Oxydolumin, and he has a really awful encounter in the flashbacks in a mansion, which ends up being a really cool scene where there's like this mansion with monks, and so you have these monk vampires, and they're intense and crazy, and we really get to see where Eichhorst like tempts everyone, tempts Palmer, and becomes bad. Because ultimately, the child runs downstairs, Satrakian goes to help him, but, you know, Palmer's in a wheelchair still, so he's sitting there and they're like, no, go. So Satrakian runs downstairs, and that's when we get our favorite German coming around the corner and basically starts talking to him about, I know the future. And Eichhorst is going like, I know the future, like I can tell you everything you want to know because, you know, you've been investing in this guy, but I can tell you everything. And so we kind of see that this has happened, but we don't fully see what he was promised. And I love this because we're building the tension on who is Palmer and how was he coerced into essentially causing the apocalypse. In one of the more humorous segments in the whole entire episode, we have Fett and going through getting dynamite, and at the same time, during all this, F is investigating his disease that he's created, his counteracting disease towards the vampires. Which was really weird to see because it reminded me of that video game, The Last of Us, where those zombies had like the weird, like infectious stuff all over their face and they were gross. And I was like, but that looks cool because I was sitting there going, ew, this is so nasty, and I love it. My personal favorite scene in the entire episode, though, is when Fett, we're seeing what he's doing because they split off, of course, and we see what he's doing. And what is Fett doing this entire time? He's getting ready to blow up a subway, and they're down in the subway, and now that they've started this quarantine, they're kind of being jerks to everyone. And I like that Nora kind of pointed out, like, isn't it kind of bad that we have this martial law going on where there's just like this overpowering source that's just controlling us all the time? And Fett's reaction was, meh. I feel like that would be a Fett reaction, that he just doesn't care because he's going to do his own thing anyway. And he does, and he has one of the best scenes in like the entire show in terms of comedic relief. Where he's setting up the dynamite and he starts the fuse and he does the Roadrunner sound effect because for all of you young chillins out there, there was this character back in the day called the Roadrunner, and cartoons were funny back then. Like, believe it or not, cartoons were funny. And there was a Roadrunner and a Coyote, and that's just basically it. They hurt each other a lot, and they involved dynamite a lot. So Fett's walking away, and as he is, some of the martial law people are like, you know, you're under arrest, what are you doing? He's like, you know, do you like movies? I like movies, but one thing I hate from all the cliches is that the good guy never looks at the explosion. And he goes on about how, like, they always walk away not looking at the explosion. He's like, if I were that guy, I'd look at the explosion. And then they're sitting there, and he's looking straight at it, and then just boom, it goes up, and they're freaking out. And he's sitting there, he's like, and they never cover their ears either. And I'm sitting there going, it's so true. He pointed out cool guys don't look at explosions, and how that's just so ridiculous because you'd want to admire it, and he wants to admire it because he's a guy that this is like his favorite thing to do now. And now all of a sudden he's messing with him, and it got him arrested. Satrakian is out trying to tempt Eldritch Palmer's former assistant to work with him because he has important information. He's like, I have important information, you have important information, please, let's work together, let's collide our minds, and let's find the lumen. He's like, but the lumen isn't real. He's like, I think you're wrong. And you can't quite tell yet whether his assistant is gonna go for it, but because he's morally a good person, you know that he probably will. On to some of the heavier content. When Gus goes into his house and he sees his mother, and his mother's a vampire, and he doesn't want to kill her, that is a really great scene where he's having to toss her back and forth, and then he hears someone speaking through his mother, which would presumably be the master, and he's telling him how he's failed and how he's failed to his mother, and she can feel this disappointment for her son, and you can see it's getting to his head, and he finally leaves, but he doesn't kill her. And that just shows that he still has this humanity left, that he wants to be this good person. He doesn't want to hurt people. He wants to save people. He wants to take care of people. And he doesn't want to hurt her. And I think that shows a really good, vulnerable side to Gus. Like, we knew he cared about his mother beforehand, but the fact that they showed this now, you see him a lot more as like a human being, I feel like. Those moments that they're no longer characters, they're people. This whole scene with the brat and his father F at a batting cage, and his son brats out on him. I'm not talking about it much because it makes me angry, because I have to sit there and see this obnoxious little brat be a main character, and he's not. But we're seeing some more, of course, vampire action, which is always cool. I like that this season has a lot more vampire action. It needed that, especially for mainstream audiences. There needs to be a little bit more violence occasionally. Some heads need to roll, and it does. But ultimately, finishing off this episode, we really see that the Master's been affected because he's making the infected vampires kill themselves, and that shows that they're vulnerable. We still have this possible temptation with Satrakian and the assistant to work together, and we have Zach's mother, Kelly, going after with the feelers. The creepy feelers are back. And another scene with Gus is when he realizes that this guy's Angel, and they have their discussion about it, and he denies it, because a luchador is not supposed to reveal their identity. But my God, guys, they are just getting better and better this season, and they know exactly what we want, because we had some things with the first season that we're like, you need to improve on this, but otherwise the show's still great anyway, but like, this is the best way to improve on it, and they have, and I love it. I'm so happy for it. I think that they're taking every step in the right direction, and it is picking up, and it is getting serious, guys. Alright, guys, gals, and everything in between, what did you guys think of this episode of The Strain? Do you guys think that Chuck Hogan should write more episodes? And do you guys feel like you're getting that great balance in this season of action and comedy, and then like that dark, creepy vibe, which Gabriel Bolivar is the master of? So let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That 1 week that I had right there was just a freak accident, guys. I promise I'm keeping these videos coming to you. It was because of my other thing that I've been working for months on. Sorry. But I hope you guys like it. Love you guys.